I never believed in ghost stories, the kind my coworkers whispered about in the locker room after shifts, their voices low, eyes darting toward the floor. I laughed them off, always, until tonight, 2:37 a.m. The shrill scream of a phone dragged me out of restless sleep on the sofa in my apartment. The screen glowed with an unknown number, but the voice that spilled through the speaker was all too familiar. Henderson, the night shift manager. His tone was sharp, ragged, almost afraid. "Ezra, you need to come to Central Station. Right now. Marcus is missing." I rubbed at my eyes, struggling to wake up. "Missing? What do you mean missing? He's on camera, isn't he?" "There's no time to explain," Henderson snapped. His voice cracked like brittle glass. "You're the only one who can cover his shift. I'll pay triple tonight. Triple. Just get here. Triple pay." From Henderson. The man was so tight-fisted he counted the sugar packets in the break room. If he was offering that, something was very, very wrong. Central Station greeted me with silence. Not the gentle stillness of the night. No, this silence was suffocating, heavy, wrong. Normally, even in the dead of night, there'd be traces of life. The hurried steps of a late passenger, a distant cough echoing down the tiled hall, the occasional muffled laughter of drunks staggering home. But not tonight. Tonight, the station was a tomb. The fluorescent lights above buzzed weakly, flickering in and out, painting twitching shadows across the concrete. The walls seemed to breathe with each flicker, as though something just out of sight moved when the light died. I stepped into the security office. The air hit me immediately. The stale reek of old cigarette smoke, bitter coffee left too long on a burner, and something else. Metallic, tangy, blood. Marcus's logbook lay open on the desk. The last line of his notes was scrawled hastily, the pen digging into the paper as though his hand was trembling. 2:33 a.m. The last train is coming. Something is wrong. Counted 13 cars. There should never be 13. Asterisk, asterisk. My mouth went dry. 13? Impossible. This line only ever ran 8-car or 10-car sets. Never 13. The air shuddered. From deep within the tunnel came a noise. Metal screaming against metal. Not the crisp rhythm of a train. No, this was drawn out, jagged, like claws scraping against bone. I grabbed the flashlight from the desk, forcing myself to step out onto the platform. The beam of light stretched into the tunnel, swallowed after only a few feet. The darkness here wasn't normal. It was thick, heavy, the kind of darkness that seemed to push back against the light. Something glimmered. The beam caught on a shape. A cap. Marcus's security cap. It lay abandoned on the concrete, only a few steps from the edge of the track. My heart hammered as I bent down and picked it up. The brim was wet, sticky. Under the light, the truth hit me like a blade across the chest. It wasn't water. It was blood, dried to a crust, dark brown, but still tacky enough to smear across my fingertips. "Marcus!" My voice cracked, thin, trembling. It echoed back at me, warped, hollow, like someone deep in the tunnels repeating my words with a voice that wasn't quite mine. The clock struck midnight. The entire platform trembled. The last train of the night was coming. But it wasn't right. Something in the vibrations was wrong. The rumble grew louder, heavier, like the footsteps of some great beast forcing its way closer. Wind tore through the tunnel, carrying the stink of damp stone and rotting flesh. I stumbled back. My pulse thundered in my ears. Then I saw it. The train slid out of the tunnel, smooth, unnatural, like a serpent crawling out of a grave. Its body was black, not painted black, but black like an absence of color. black like a hole in the world. There was no number, no company insignia, no graffiti, just emptiness. The windows reflected light in strange, broken ways. The glass seemed to ripple, like something was pressing against it from the inside. I counted automatically. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13. Marcus's last words burned in my mind. There should never be 13. Asterisk, asterisk. The train slowed, stopped. No screech of brakes, no hiss of engines, just silence. A silence so complete it pressed against my skull. Then the doors opened, all 13 of them, at once. The sound wasn't mechanical. It was wet. A hiss, a sigh, like lungs exhaling foul air. I aimed my flashlight into the nearest car. The beam was swallowed instantly. It didn't fade, it was devoured. The darkness inside was absolute. A void. No passengers stepped out. No conductor. Just the hollow invitation of open doors. A cold wind flowed out from the cars, stinking of mold, old stone, and something else. Something human. Then I heard it. Whispers. They poured out of the dark like a flood. Dozens of voices overlapping, murmuring, pleading. Somewhere within the chorus, a voice rose above the rest. Ezra. I froze. It was Marcus's voice. Ezra, come aboard. But it was wrong. Distorted, pulled, stretched, as though someone was dragging his words across broken glass. My legs moved before my mind did. 1 step, 2 steps, closer, closer to the gaping mouth of the 13th car. The light from the platform couldn't pierce the darkness inside, but something moved in there. Something shifted. Behind me, a scream tore through the silence. Not from the train, from the station entrance. I whipped around. A man stood there, tall, gaunt, hair silver, almost white. His uniform was ancient, frayed, as though it had been worn for decades. But on his chest gleamed a badge. 25 years of service. He staggered into the security office, collapsed into the chair, hands shaking as he lit another cigarette. Smoke billowed thick, acrid, clinging to the ceiling like storm clouds. His face was carved with lines so deep they looked like scars. His eyes were hollow, bloodshot, filled with something worse than fear. Memory. You think Marcus was the first? His voice was gravel, shredded by years of smoke. He coughed, the sound rattling his chest. Then he looked at me, eyes burning with weary fire. No kid. Marcus was the 7th. 7th in just 3 months. I felt ice crawl up my spine. What do you mean? Where did they go? Why hasn't anyone? He laughed. A dry, awful laugh that sounded like bones breaking. Police? You think the cops care when I tell them the cameras caught nothing? Every damn time it happens, the feeds go static. At 2:33, always 2:33. For 47 minutes, the monitors are snow. Then it comes back, and they're gone. He jabbed a finger against the desk. 47 minutes. Always. Then nothing. My pulse hammered in my ears. What's going on here? The man leaned close, breath thick with smoke. His name patch was faded, almost unreadable tone. You don't get it, kid. It's not about the trains. It's about the rules. My throat tightened. What rules? Tone's hands trembled as he dragged himself to a rusted safe in the corner. The lock groaned as he twisted it open. Inside was a black leather journal. The cover was cracked, stiff with age, and stained. Brown stains, flaking. The smell of iron and rust clung to it. Blood. Tone carried it carefully, both hands, as though it was holy. He placed it into my palms, his eyes wide, desperate. This book saved me. 25 years. Every word inside was written in blood, by those who broke the rules. The leather felt wrong in my grip. Dry, stiff, but somehow warm. The stains seemed to cling to my skin. I wanted to drop it, to burn it, to never see it again. But my hands wouldn't let go. Tone's cigarette ember glowed in the dark, his face gaunt and gray. "Open it," he rasped. "But be ready." I opened the book. The first page was smeared, frantic handwriting scrawled by a desperate hand. "If you are reading this, I am either dead or I have found a way to escape this curse. My name is Nathaniel Crow, Chief of Central Station, 1987. These are the rules to survive the night. Asterisk, asterisk. The next page was worse. Different inks, different handwritings, all added over the years, layered on top of each other. Some written clean, others trembling, broken, half smeared by blood. 10 rules. 10 rules to survive the night shift. 1. Always count the cars before the train stops. If there are more than 10, step back at least 5 meters. 2. Never look directly into the windows of the 7th car. What's inside is not meant for the living. 3. If you hear your name whispered from the tunnels, do not answer, especially if it's the voice of someone you've lost. 4. Check your watch every 13 minutes. If time skips forward or backward, run toward the nearest light. 5. At exactly 3:33 a.m., shut off every light on the platform. For 1 minute, this is when they pass through. The light enrages them. 6. Never fall asleep in the security office between 2 and 4 a.m. That is hunting hour. 7. If you see a passenger without a shadow, sound the alarm 3 short times and hide. Immediately. 8. If the last train has 13 cars, do not board. 9. Always carry sea salt and a small mirror. They fear their own reflection. 10. If you break any rule, run toward the brightest light. Don't look back, no matter what you hear. At the bottom of the page, written in a shaking, blood-smeared hand, she tried to break the cycle. They took his eyes as a warning, but he wrote one last rule by touch alone. Rule 11. Never try to learn what they are. Curiosity will kill you. Asterisk, asterisk. The words dug into my brain, branding themselves there. Tone's eyes glistened in the dim light. That book, it's the only reason I'm alive. But the rules don't stop death. They only delay it. Break one and you'll join them. The words crawled across my skull, scratching grooves in my mind that would never fade. The rules were all that stood between me and something worse than death. I closed the book, my hands trembling. The leather cover felt warmer now, as though it pulsed faintly with something alive. Tone leaned back in his chair, the cigarette dangling between 2 yellowed fingers. You think Marcus was unlucky? No, they chose him, just like they chose all the others. The others, I whispered. He nodded slowly, exhaling a cloud of smoke that twisted like black veins through the stale air. 7 in 3 months. Marcus was the last. Before him, Dallas. Before Dallas, Dimitri, Yuki, Raven, Oma, all gone. Each one thought they could bend the rules, thought they could outsmart them. And now, he slid open a drawer. Papers spilled out, thick, disorganized, clotted with photographs. He shoved them across the desk toward me. The first photo made my stomach turn. A single red high heel. It lay in the center of a congealed pool of blood. The next, a scarf, torn, shredded, half buried in the gravel near the tracks. Another photo, a uniform cap, stained dark, as though something had seeped into the fabric permanently. Each picture worse than the last. Each one proof of someone erased. I wanted to vomit. Tone tapped the folder, his expression bleak. They left only fragments. Enough to prove something happened, but never enough for anyone else to care. Why didn't the police investigate? My voice was barely audible. He gave a broken laugh, shaking his head. I told you, cameras show nothing. Nothing anyone will believe. Every time the clock hits 2:33, the feeds dissolve into snow. 47 minutes of static. Then, nothing but silence. I stared at the old monitor screens flickering in the corner. Even now, their glow seemed uncertain, as though they could collapse into static at any moment. Tone's eyes bore into me. You understand now, don't you? The trains don't run on schedules. They run on hunger. I couldn't speak. He leaned forward, lowering his voice to a whisper. And tonight you've been chosen. That's why Henderson called you. Out of 50 men, why you? No wife, no kids, no family, no one to miss you when you're gone. They love that. My throat constricted. His words pressed down on me heavier than the silence itself. Then it happened. From deep in the tunnel, a metallic screech rose, vibrating the rails. Not a train, something else. The lights flickered overhead, sputtering into darkness before buzzing faintly back to life. The ground trembled beneath my boots. From somewhere far down the line came a sound like thunder. Tone's cigarette fell from his lips. He ground it out violently on the desk, eyes wide. They're coming. The platform was no longer empty. When I stepped out, the air felt wrong, heavy, like the pressure before a storm. At first, I thought the platform was deserted. Then I saw it, a figure, standing in the center of the station floor. A woman, her back to me, long hair spilling down her back like a black veil. A white dress clung to her, flowing unnaturally, as though underwater. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. For a moment, I almost called out. Then I noticed. She had no shadow. The rules. If you see a passenger without a shadow, sound the alarm 3 times. Hide. Asterisk, asterisk. My fingers fumbled for the switch on the wall. The alarm shrieked. 3 sharp bursts that tore through the silence. The woman moved. Not turned. Not stepped. Moved. Flickering from one side of the platform to the other in the blink of an eye. Her head twisted. Slowly, unnaturally, bones cracking as it rotated full around. Her face, God, it was beautiful, perfect, skin pale as porcelain, lips red as roses, cheeks delicately blushed. But her eyes, there were no eyes, just hollow sockets, black bottomless. Stars could have drowned in them. Her mouth opened, but her lips didn't move. Instead, her voice erupted through the intercom system overhead, booming across the empty platform. My name is Vera. The sound rattled the windows, echoing like thunder. On the monitors in the security office, her face appeared, smiling. But the smile stretched too far, tearing open to the ears. Her jaw cracked open like a snake's, revealing rows of jagged teeth layered deep. Why the alarm? She whispered, her voice echoing on every speaker. I only want to play. The fluorescent lights above flickered violently. Each time they went dark, she appeared closer. 10 feet away. 5, 2. I slammed the security door shut, fumbling the locks. The steel groaned as something slammed against it from the other side. Let me in, her voice crooned, syrupy sweet, sliding under the door, dripping into my ears. I want to show you something. The door shuddered, warped inward with every blow. A pale, elongated finger snaked through the crack. Too long, bone white, searching for the latch, the rules, the mirror. I scrambled, snatching the small shard Tone had given me from his coat pocket. I angled it toward the finger. Light bounced, reflected. The voice on the speakers dissolved into a shriek, shrill, inhuman. The finger recoiled, leaving a smear of black, tar-like ichor across the steel. Silence. I checked the clock. 1:48 a.m. Still more than an hour before the most dangerous time. But my heart was already breaking. This was only the beginning. I barely noticed Tone at first, slumped against the far wall of the security office. His face was ghostly pale, his eyes hollow pits. "You did well," he rasped, voice broken. "Most don't survive their first test." I swallowed hard, the mirror still clutched tight in my hand. "What was that thing?" He shook his head. "Not a thing. Person once. Vera. She boarded the wrong train, the 13th car. And what came back wasn't human." The weight of his words pressed into me like ice. "This is why the rules exist," he continued. His hands trembled as he lit another cigarette, though it seemed to do nothing to steady him. Not to explain, not to understand, only to survive. Break one and you join them. I stared at the stained logbook still open on the desk. The last line Marcus wrote seared into my skull. There should never be 13. And yet somehow I knew tonight there would be more. The station fell quiet again. Too quiet. Even after Vera's presence faded, the silence that lingered was worse than her screams. Pressed into my ears, into my lungs, until it felt like the air itself had weight. Tone sat across from me, his hands trembling as he nursed another cigarette. The ember glowed faintly, the only light besides the weak fluorescent hum. His eyes were distant, unfocused, haunted. "You need to understand something," he muttered. "Vera wasn't the first. She won't be the last. Every one of them, Marcus, Yuki, Dmitri, they all broke the rules. And what came back wasn't them anymore." I gripped the journal tighter, the words still burning into my skin. "But why me? Why am I here tonight?" Tone exhaled a stream of smoke that twisted like black ribbons toward the ceiling. "Because you've already been chosen. That's why Henderson called you. That's why Marcus is gone. They don't pick at random. They know who you are, what you've lost." My stomach dropped. "Lost?" He nodded slowly. "Your wife, Lizzie. Cancer, wasn't it?" My heart clenched. "How the hell do you know that?" His gaze was grim. "Because that's why you're here. They feed on grief, on loneliness, on the hollow spaces in us. And you," he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper, "you reek of it." Before I could respond, the lights above flickered violently. The monitors erupted in static. 2:33 a.m. The rules echoed in my head. Always at 2:33, 47 minutes of static. Then nothing. Asterisk, asterisk. From the tunnels came a sound. Not the clean rhythm of wheels on tracks, but a drawn-out grinding, like something massive dragging chains across stone. I stumbled to the platform, Tone close behind. His face was pale, sweat dripping down his forehead. At first, the platform looked empty, but then I saw it. Marcus's cap, still lying where I'd found it earlier. But this time it wasn't alone. Next to it lay a trail of wet footprints, bare feet, leading away from the edge of the tracks. My heart slammed against my ribs. The prints were fresh, glimmering under the harsh light. I followed them step by step. They led across the platform toward the far wall. But they didn't stop there. They continued up, onto the wall, then the ceiling. I craned my neck, and my blood froze. A figure crawled across the ceiling. Pale skin, limbs bent at wrong angles. A face turned upside down, grinning with a mouth too wide. Marcus, or what was left of him. His eyes were blank, milky. His lips pulled back in a smile that tore open the corners of his cheeks. Blood dripped down in long strands, pattering on the floor below. "Ezra," he hissed. His voice was broken, stretched thin, like a recording slowed to half speed. "Come with us." I stumbled back. "You're not him." The thing laughed, a bubbling, broken sound that echoed across the tiles. Then it scuttled across the ceiling with inhuman speed, vanishing into the tunnel darkness. The footprints remained, wet, fresh, as though waiting for me to follow. Back in the office, Tone slammed the journal shut. His face was gray, his voice shaking. You see now? Once they take you, there's no going back. Marcus is gone. That thing. It's just wearing his skin. I collapsed into the chair, my hands shaking. Then what's the point? If they always win, what's the point of the rules? Tone stared at me for a long moment. Then he whispered, "The rules don't save you. They buy you time. Nothing more. Sooner or later, everyone pays." The weight of his words crushed me. For the first time, I felt the true depth of the curse that lived in this place. It wasn't about surviving one night. It was about delaying the inevitable. The lights flickered again. The clock ticked toward 3 o'clock. Hunting hour. 3:12 a.m. The air grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me. The walls of the station seemed to sweat, condensation running in thin streams. I checked the monitors. First, only static. Then, slowly, an image formed. The platform. Empty. No, not empty. A shape stood there. First, it looked like a man. Tall, gaunt. But as the static cleared, the details emerged. It was too tall. At least 8 feet. Shoulders hunched, head bowed. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, stretched tight across bones that seemed far too sharp. And its face, or the absence of one. Where its face should have been was only smooth skin. No eyes, no mouth, no nose. Yet somehow, I knew it was looking straight at me. My chest seized. Couldn't breathe. Tone's hand clamped down on my shoulder, squeezing hard. "Don't move," he whispered. "Don't make a sound. It's one of them." The faceless thing stood motionless for a long moment. Then it moved. Not walking. Not stepping. Sliding. Gliding across the platform as though gravity had no claim on it. It stopped at the office door, tilted its head, and then a voice filled the air. Not from it. From everywhere. The walls. The ceiling. The very air around us. "Tone." The old man stiffened, his cigarette falling from his lips. His whole body trembled. "You've seen too much," the voice said. 25 years. Too many nights. Too many secrets. The rules cannot protect you forever. I saw it then. The thing didn't need a mouth. Its voice seeped from the air itself, vibrating through the walls, rattling the glass. The faceless thing tilted its head further. Then the skin where its mouth should have been split. Slowly, horribly, a jagged, wet tear forming a smile. And though it had no eyes, I knew it was looking at me next. "Ezra," the voice whispered. "Fresh blood. Young. We can wait. But you are marked." My heart stopped. My vision swam. I could feel something on my skin. A weight, like invisible hands pressing against my chest. The faceless figure lingered for what felt like forever. Then, as silently as it had come, it slid back into the tunnel, vanishing into the dark. When it was gone, Tone collapsed into his chair, gasping. Sweat poured down his face. His hands shook so badly he could barely light another cigarette. "That," he croaked, "was a warning. I didn't sleep. Couldn't." The rules screamed through my head, over and over, as the hours crawled on. Every flicker of the lights made my heart stop. Every sound in the tunnels was another death knell. And still, the night was far from over. 3:30 a.m., the hunting hour. The station was no longer silent. It breathed. The air thickened, pressing down on me until it felt like the walls themselves were alive, contracting and expanding with some monstrous pulse. Tone's face was ashen. His cigarette trembled in his lips, ash spilling onto his uniform. "Stay awake," he muttered, voice gravelly. "No matter what happens, don't close your eyes." I nodded, though the weight on my eyelids was unbearable. Exhaustion clawed at me, pulling me down like quicksand. The rules. Never sleep between 2 and 4 a.m. That's when they hunt. Asterisk, asterisk. I clung to those words as the minutes dragged on. Then I heard it. Laughter. High-pitched. Childlike. Dozens of voices, giggling, echoing from the empty halls of the station. My skin crawled. There were no children here. There never were. The laughter grew louder, closer, until it pressed against the very walls of the security office. "Don't look," Tone whispered sharply. "Don't you dare look." But curiosity gnawed at me like acid. Against every instinct, I glanced at the monitor. The feed showed the hallway outside. Shadows moved across the walls. Dozens of small figures, darting, skipping, their outlines flickering like candlelight. They giggled and whispered in overlapping tones. One of them turned toward the camera. His face was wrong, stretched, skin pale and sagging, pulled tight across a skull that was too large. Its mouth split ear to ear, filled with needle-like teeth, and its eyes hollow black pits, endless and hungry. The monitor burst into static. I stumbled back, heart racing. Tone grabbed my wrist. His grip was iron. "I told you not to look. They know you now." Before I could reply, something slammed into the office door. The steel rattled. The lock groaned. The laughter swelled. A chorus of shrieking giggles. Small hands pressed against the glass. Dozens of them, their fingers too long, too sharp. Their nails scraped, leaving trails of sparks. The lights flickered. The room darkened. Through the glass, I saw them. Children, or things pretending to be children. Their mouths stretched impossibly wide, grins tearing their faces in half. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the weak fluorescent light like animal eyes. They whispered my name. "Ezra, Ezra, play with us, forever." I backed away until my shoulders hit the far wall. Tone stood firm, pulling a pouch from his pocket. He tore it open, scattering coarse grains of salt across the threshold. The effect was immediate. The creatures hissed, recoiling, their grins warping into snarls. Smoke rose from their skin where the salt touched. They retreated slowly, melting back into the shadows of the hall, until only silence remained. The office was still again, but the air was heavier now, thick with the stink of sulfur and rot. I collapsed into the chair, clutching my chest. My heart refused to slow. Tone exhaled shakily, his face glistening with sweat. "Rule 6, he whispered. "No sleep, and now you know why." By 3:45, the atmosphere shifted again. The temperature plummeted. My breath fogged in the air, curling like smoke. The fluorescent lights flickered, dimmed, then burned bright again, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow. Then came the sound. A horn, long low, reverberating from deep in the tunnels. The sound of a train, but it was wrong. It didn't carry the familiar rhythm. It dragged, warped, like a recording played backward. I rushed to the platform, heart hammering. Tone followed close behind, limping slightly, his face etched with dread. The tunnel yawned before us, black as a grave. Then a glow appeared, red, pulsing. The train emerged like a beast crawling from the abyss. His body was sleek, black metal slick with condensation. But there were no logos, no markings, no numbers, just smooth, seamless steel. The windows were opaque, reflecting the platform lights in warped shapes. And the cars, there were too many. I counted under my breath. 1, 2, 3, 10, 12, 13. My blood ran cold. Marcus's warning echoed in my skull. There should never be 13. The train screeched to a halt. The doors slid open with a sound like wet flesh tearing. Darkness spilled out. Not shadow, not absence of light. Actual darkness. Thick, tangible, swallowing the platform in a suffocating haze. No passengers stepped out. No one entered. The cars waited, silent, hungry. My hands trembled. The urge to step closer was unbearable. The darkness seemed to pull at me, whispering promises I couldn't understand. Then a voice, from inside. "Ezra." My knees buckled. It was Lizzie's voice, sweet, Familiar. Loving. Come inside. Please. It's cold out here. We can be together again. I staggered back, clutching my ears. Tears burned my eyes. No, no, you're not her. The voice grew louder, desperate. Ezra, don't leave me again. Don't you love me? I squeezed my eyes shut, choking on a sob. My chest felt like it was caving in. Hands grabbed me, dragging me back. Tone's grip. His voice was hoarse, panicked. Don't answer. Never answer if they call you from the tunnel. The doors slammed shut. The train shuddered. Then it was gone, swallowed by the dark, leaving only silence and the stench of decay. Back in the office, I collapsed into the chair. My hands shook so badly I dropped the journal. Tone picked it up, setting it carefully on the desk. You're slipping, he muttered. They know how to break you. They know who you've lost. That's how they get in. I buried my face in my hands, sobbing. The sound of Lizzie's voice still echoed in my skull. How could they know? That memory, it was mine. Ours. How could they know? Tone's face hardened. They don't read minds. They don't need to. Grief is like blood in the water. The deeper it runs, the clearer the scent. And yours? He shook his head. Yours is enough to drown them. The clock ticked past 4 o'clock. The hunting hour waned. The worst had passed for now. But my soul was already fractured. And I knew the night was far from over. For 05 a.m., the platform was quiet again. But I knew the silence was only a mask. The station was never truly still. It watched. It listened. It waited. Tone's voice cracked the silence. Do you understand now, Ezra? This place isn't cursed because of what's here. It's cursed because of the bargain. A bargain that was written in blood long before you or I ever walked these tunnels. I turned to him, my voice trembling. Bargain? What do you mean? He hesitated. His hand hovered over his chest, fingers brushing the long scar that ran from his collarbone downward. 25 years ago, I was young, stupid. I thought the stories were just ghost tales to scare new recruits, until I saw them for myself. Until I learned the truth. He sat heavily, his eyes dull with the weight of memory. Back then, the company uncovered something during construction. A cavern, not natural. A city beneath the city. They dug too far, too deep, and found something that should have stayed buried. And when it woke, he trailed off, his breath ragged. What happened? I whispered. They made a deal, Tone said at last. The higher-ups, the ones who ran the rail lines, a life every month. In exchange, the city above would remain untouched. The trains would run. The money would flow. Civilization would thrive. But underneath, we would pay the price. I swallowed hard, while burning the back of my throat. And the guards? He nodded slowly. We are the offerings, sometimes willingly, more often not, but always chosen for the same reason. Grief, loneliness, pain. Those are the flavors they crave. Couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to close in, the buzzing of the fluorescent lights drilling into my skull. So that's why Marcus, why me? Yes. Tone's eyes glistened with old tears. You've already been marked. And once you're marked, the rules only delay the inevitable. The room swayed around me. My knees nearly buckled. I pressed my palms against the desk, fighting for control. There has to be a way out. Tone's laugh was bitter, broken. If there was, I would have found it decades ago. But there might be one thing. His voice faltered. His eyes darted to the journal. Nathaniel Crow, the first station master. He wrote something about a loophole. The 13th month. The 13th day. The 13th train. But if it exists, it's a doorway, not an escape. Before I could question him further, the monitors crackled. Static bled across every screen. Then an image flickered into focus. The platform, empty, but not for long. A figure emerged from the tunnel. A woman, thin, dressed in a white gown that shimmered like frost under the fluorescent lights. Her long black hair draped forward, hiding her face. She stopped in the center of the platform, motionless. I leaned closer to the monitor, squinting. Something about her seemed wrong. Not the way she stood, but the way the light touched her. The glow shimmered unnaturally, her outline glitching like a corrupted video feed. Tone cursed under his breath. Not again. The woman lifted her head. Her hair fell back. I staggered, choking on a scream. Her face was beautiful. Perfect. Too perfect. Porcelain skin. Lips red as blood. Cheeks flushed with delicate color. But where her eyes should have been were only two black voids, endless and consuming. The speakers crackled. A voice poured through them, though her lips never moved. My name is Vera. My blood froze. The same entity we'd seen before. She wasn't gone. She had returned. The alarms blared as Tone slammed his hand against the panic button. 3 short bursts echoed through the empty station. On the monitor, Vera smiled. Her lips split too wide, her jaw unhinging like a snake's. Rows of sharp teeth gleamed in the sickly light. "Why so afraid?" she purred, her voice dripping honey and venom. "I only want to play." The lights in the office flickered violently. The door rattled under sudden impact. Something struck it again and again, harder each time. Through the tiny window, I saw her. Vera clung to the ceiling like a spider, her gown trailing like wings. Her head twisted at an impossible angle, her grin splitting wider, wider, until it tore her cheeks open. Black ichor dripped down the glass. She slammed her face against the window, staring in with those endless voids. "Let me in, Ezra," she whispered. "Don't you remember me?" I stumbled back, my chest tight with terror. "She knows my name." "They all do," Tone muttered, his voice thick with despair. He hurled another handful of salt against the doorframe. Smoke rose as the grains sizzled, burning invisible flesh. Vera shrieked, her cry so shrill the glass spiderwebbed with cracks. And then silence. The lights steadied. The door stopped shaking. The window was empty. She was gone. For now. By 4:40, exhaustion gnawed at me so hard I could barely keep my eyes open. My head nodded, my body begging for rest. But Tone's warning echoed, no sleep. Never between 2 and 4. Asterisk asterisk. I splashed cold water from a bottle across my face. It helped, but only slightly. That's when the printer in the ticket booth whirred to life. I froze. No one had touched it. No one had gone near. Yet paper spilled from the tray in a steady stream. Dozens of tickets. Hundreds. Each identical. I approached slowly, dread curdling in my stomach. I picked one up. My blood ran cold. Printed in deep red ink, as though written in blood, were the words. Ticket, train 13, passenger. Ezra Haloy departure. Soon asterisk asterisk. The tickets kept coming, piling onto the floor. A mountain of crimson warnings, each with my name, each with the same destination. I dropped the paper, bile rising in my throat. My legs trembled. They've chosen me. Tone appeared at my side, his face pale. He grabbed one of the tickets, crushed it in his fist, then hurled it aside. Ignore it. Ignore it. The more you acknowledge them, the stronger they become. But it was too late. The message was clear. My fate was sealed. 4:47 a.m. The horn sounded again, low, echoing, growing nearer. The 13th train was coming. And this time I knew it was for me. 4:50 a.m. The ground shook beneath my feet. Dust rained from the ceiling as the entire station trembled with the force of something vast moving below. The monitors flickered, static racing across their screens. And then 13 horns. Not one, not two. All at once. 13 horns howling from 13 tunnels, vibrating through my bones like the roar of some ancient beast. The 13th train was arriving. Tone clutched my arm. His voice was harsh, desperate. Do not step onto that platform. Whatever happens, Ezra, you cannot set foot near those doors. But my legs ached to move. My body felt magnetized, pulled by a force I couldn't fight. My heart thundered like a war drum, sweat pouring down my back. The lights in the station stuttered, plunging everything into intermittent darkness. In each flash of light, I saw them, faces in the glass, pale, dead-eyed, mouths open in eternal screams. Dozens, hundreds, pressed against invisible barriers, begging to be let out. I stumbled backward. The smell hit me then. Putrid rot, wet soil, and something metallic, sharp as razors. Blood. The horn blared again, closer now. The platform shook violently as the first lights pierced the tunnel. The train slithered into view. It was alive. No longer a machine of steel and bolts, but a creature masquerading as one. Its skin was black and slick, pulsing as though veins ran beneath the surface. Its headlights glowed red, not like lamps but like eyes, glaring hungrily into the platform. And the cars, 13 of them, each writhed, stretching and contracting like the ribcage of a breathing monster. The windows shivered with wet movement, as though flesh pressed against the glass from within. It stopped, perfectly aligned with the platform. Doors hissed open. Inside, there was no seating, no lights, only a cavernous black void that seemed deeper than space itself. And from it poured whispers, thousands of them, chanting, calling, each one layering atop the other until it became a deafening roar. Ezra, 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 my name, spoken by every voice I'd ever known. Lizzie, Marcus, my parents, all of them, begging me to join. Tears blurred my vision. My chest heaved with sobs. I wanted to run. I wanted to collapse. I wanted to step forward, surrender, and let it all end. Tone dragged me back, his grip iron. Fight it. Don't you dare give in. But then the whispers shifted. They grew sweeter, warmer, familiar. Lizzie's voice rose above the rest. Ezra, please, don't leave me here. You promised me. Remember our wedding day? The perfume you gave me? You said you'd find me no matter what. Don't you love me anymore? I crumpled, sobbing. Stop, please. The platform shook violently. The doors yawned wider, darkness spilling like liquid onto the tiles, creeping closer to my feet. Then a shadow moved, from within the black void of Car 7. Marcus, or what was left of him. He stood with his face pressed against the window, skin gray and eyes bulging wide, blood dripping from his lips. He raised a hand and smeared something across the glass. Letters. Words. EZRA. Come. Asterisk asterisk. I screamed, stumbling back. My reflection warped in the glass beside his, my own eyes black and hollow. Tone hurled salt across the platform. The grains sizzled, a faint barrier sparking into life. The shadows hissed, recoiling, but the pressure didn't stop. The pull only grew stronger. I clutched my head, falling to my knees. My skull throbbed, voices drilling into my brain. Memories spilled out of me. Childhood laughter, the orphanage, Lizzie's smile, the sound of her last breath. Each memory stolen, twisted, weaponized. They're breaking you, Tone snarled. Ezra, listen to me. There is one chance. The loophole. The 13th day. The 13th month. Nathaniel Crow wrote it for a reason. If you can find it, you might survive. How? I gasped, choking on my own tears. He didn't answer, because he couldn't. The train groaned, a sound like bones splintering. Black ichor oozed from the seams of the cars, dripping onto the platform. Where it landed, the tiles hissed and cracked. And then something reached out. A hand, pale, long-fingered, dripping with slime. It groped blindly from the doorway, grasping at the air, searching for me. Behind it, more hands, Dozens, hundreds, clawing, writhing, all reaching for me. I scrambled back, screaming, but the salt barrier was already fading. The darkness pressed closer. The hands clawed nearer. "Run!" Tone bellowed, shoving me toward the stairwell. "Get away from the platform!" I stumbled upward, 2 steps at a time, heart slamming in my chest. Behind me, I heard Tone roar as he scattered more salt, his voice breaking into curses and prayers. Then silence. I looked back. The platform was empty. Tone was gone. Only his hat remained, lying in the spreading pool of black ichor. 5:02 a.m. I was alone. The train still sat on the platform, its doors yawning open. The whispers had softened, but they didn't fade. They lured me like a lullaby, sweet, familiar, poison. I staggered into the office, slamming the door shut. I locked it, though I knew locks meant nothing here. My hands shook violently as I grabbed the journal. The pages fluttered in the stale air until I found the final entry. Nathaniel Crow's handwriting, jagged, frantic, smeared with dried blood. If you read this, you are already marked. But there is a hole in the bargain. The 13th day, the 13th month, the 13th train. It is not salvation, but it is not damnation either. It is something else. Asterisk. The words ended abruptly. The rest of the page was blank. I slammed the book shut, screaming. Rage tore through me. I hurled the journal across the room. It hit the wall with a dull thud and fell open. Pages splayed. Something slipped out. A folded note, hidden between the bindings. My breath caught as I unfolded it. The handwriting was different, smaller, more careful. The train can be destroyed, but not with salt, not with fire, not with guns. It lives on memory, on grief, on despair. Starve it and it will wither. Deny it and it will crumble. Asterisk. But to do so, you must face it. Board the 13th car and survive until dawn. Asterisk. My stomach dropped. My hands went numb. Board the train? Voluntarily? That was suicide. The horn blared again. Louder. Closer. Shaking the very marrow of my bones. The choice was gone. Either I boarded willingly, or it would drag me inside. 5:10 a.m. I stood at the edge of the platform again. The salt barrier was gone. The doors of the train gaped wide, spilling black mist across the tiles. The whispers surged louder, my name echoing 1,000 times over. I clutched the note until it crumpled in my fist. My knees quaked, my vision blurred, but I stepped forward. 1 step, 2, 3. The darkness enveloped me, and I boarded the 13th train. 5:11 a.m. The moment I crossed the threshold, the air changed. It was colder, heavier, thick with the stench of rot and sulfur. The doors slammed shut behind me with a clang that echoed like a coffin ceiling. My flashlight sputtered, flickered, then died. I was swallowed whole by darkness, but not silence. The whispers were louder here, clearer. Voices twined together into a symphony of despair. I heard Lizzie calling, Marcus pleading, my parents weeping, all of them begging me to stay, to surrender. I clenched my fists, nails cutting into my palms. You're not real. You're not them. The darkness laughed, a sound like 1,000 mouths snapping open at once. Then the train lurched forward. I stumbled, bracing myself against the fleshy walls. They pulsed beneath my hands, warm and wet, as though the entire car was breathing. Veins bulged beneath the slick surface, glowing faintly with sickly green light. I gagged, bile rising in my throat, but I couldn't stop now. The note had been clear: survive until dawn. The floor shifted underfoot, soft and spongy, sucking at my shoes as if eager to consume me. Each step was a struggle. A light flickered ahead. Not electric, not fire, something bioluminescent, oozing from the walls. It illuminated shapes, figures. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. They were people, or what had once been people. Dozens of them fused into the walls. Faces half submerged in the flesh, mouths open in soundless screams. Eyes rolled wildly, darting to me, pleading, begging. Limbs jutted out at unnatural angles, frozen mid-thrash, clawing for release that would never come. I staggered backward, horror clawing through me. One of them, her face pale and rotted, lips torn but still mouthing words. Ezra. It was Lizzie. My knees buckled. I collapsed, reaching toward her. Her eyes locked on mine, filled with sorrow and torment. Save me. Tears blurred my vision. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her face twisted. The sorrow warped into a grin too wide, too sharp. Her mouth split open, jaw cracking, teeth black and jagged. Her voice shrieked, not hers but a chorus of hundreds. You belong to US. I screamed, stumbling back. Her arms tore free of the wall, stretching impossibly long, clawing at me. Fingers sharp as talons scraped across my chest, tearing cloth and flesh. Blood poured hot and thick. I fell hard onto the floor, clutching my wound. The walls writhed, the other faces twisting, laughing, screaming, their mouths stretching too wide. The train roared, speeding faster, shaking violently. The floor bucked, throwing me against the wall. Flesh rippled beneath me, veins bulging like serpents. I scrambled to my feet, panting, dizzy. My blood dripped onto the floor, sizzling as it sank into the flesh. The train shuddered with a deep, guttural moan. It was feeding. No, no, you won't have me. I roared. I pulled the shard of mirror from my pocket, the last weapon I had. The faint light it caught spread across the walls. The faces recoiled, shrieking in agony as smoke hissed from their flesh. Lizzie's face twisted, screaming, before sinking back into the wall. I staggered forward, clutching the shard like a holy relic. The whispers retreated, but they never ceased. Always there, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. The train screeched around a bend. Ahead, the wall tore open into a cavern of bone. Piles upon piles of skeletons fused into the car like architecture. Ribcages formed arches. Skulls stared from the ceiling. Femurs jutted out like support beams. I walked through, my breath shallow, the smell of dust and rot overwhelming. Every step echoed hollowly. The skulls seemed to watch me, their mouths opened, clicking. Words spilled from them in a language older than anything human. And yet I understood. 13th day, 13th month, 13th train. The contract is eternal. No, I whispered. There has to be more. One skull, larger than the rest, its jaw unhinged. It spoke in a voice that cracked like thunder. Bargain sealed. Blood for safety. You are the last. The floor heaved. The pile of bones shifted, rising. A massive skeletal figure pulled itself free, built from hundreds of bodies. Its empty sockets glowed red, its maw dripping black ichor. It roared, shaking the car, and lunged for me. I dove aside, the massive hand crashing down where I'd stood. Bones shattered, splinters raining across the floor. I scrambled to my feet, clutching the mirror shard. The creature swiped again. I raised the shard, its light catching the monster's sockets. It shrieked, staggering back, bones cracking as smoke poured from its body. I ran, past it deeper into the car. The skeletal titan roared behind me, but it didn't follow. It dissolved back into the walls, becoming part of the train once more. 5:27 a.m. The train slowed. The whispers hushed. A door slid open ahead. I stepped through. The next car was different. Clean, bright, like a normal train with seats and advertisements. For a moment I thought I'd escaped. Relief surged through me. Then I saw the passengers. They all sat perfectly still, hands folded in their laps, faces blank. Dozens of them, men, women, children. Their skin was pale, their eyes glassy. They didn't breathe. They didn't blink. I walked down the aisle slowly, my heart pounding. Every pair of eyes followed me, turning, tracking. I stopped halfway. The silence pressed in, suffocating. Then, in unison, they smiled, mouth splitting too wide, too sharp, rows of black teeth. Their voices rose together. "Welcome home, Ezra." 5:28 a.m. The moment the word home left their mouths, the air turned heavy, like I was standing underwater. My lungs screamed for breath. The walls pulsed faintly, the clean illusion flickering like a dying bulb. I staggered down the aisle, gripping the shard of mirror tightly. The passengers never moved, but their eyes followed. Always, everywhere. A child's voice rang out, clear, sharp. "Ezra." I froze. The little girl in the third row had turned her head. Her skin cracked as she moved, like dry porcelain. Her lips peeled back in a grin too wide for her face. "We've been waiting." The others followed, every single head turning, every mouth stretching into the same grotesque smile. Black ichor dripped from their teeth, pattering onto the floor. I backed away. My heart thundered. The mirror shard trembled in my hand. Then, in unison, they rose, not standing, floating. Their feet dangled inches above the ground, twitching like broken marionettes. They drifted toward me, silent except for the grinding of their teeth. "Stay back," I shouted, thrusting the mirror forward. Light flared across the car. Smoke hissed from their flesh as they shrieked in unison, voices melding into a single inhuman roar. The illusion shattered. The bright, clean car dissolved. The walls rippled, revealing pulsing flesh. The seats warped into rib cages. The advertisements bled, words twisting into runes that burned my eyes. The passengers melted into shapes of bone and sinew, their faces stretching, screaming. I bolted, sprinting down the aisle, shoving past them, their claws scraping my arms. Black blood splattered across my skin, burning like acid. I screamed but didn't stop. The door at the end loomed. I slammed into it, tearing it open, and stumbled into the next car. This one was darker, quieter. The air was thick, humid, like a swamp. A faint green glow emanated from the ceiling. Shapes hung down. Ropes? No, not ropes. Intestines. Dozens of them, dangling, swaying with the train's motion. They dripped with slime, splattering onto the floor in wet slaps. The stench of rot was suffocating. I gagged, clamping a hand over my mouth. My shoes squelched in a layer of black fluid that coated the floor. A whisper slithered through the car. Not many voices. One, singular, deep, ancient. "You cannot run, Ezra." The intestines writhed, twisting like serpents. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was tall, too tall. Its body stretched upward until its head scraped the ceiling. Its skin was pale, translucent, stretched tight over bones that jutted like knives. His face was smooth. No eyes, no mouth, no nose, only a blank canvas of flesh. And yet it spoke. "Every step you take, you walk closer to me." His head tilted, unnatural, almost upside down. My reflection warped across its skin, my own terrified face staring back. My eyes black, my mouth wide, my flesh already decayed. I stumbled back, clutching the mirror shard. My hands shook. The figure drifted closer, intestines slapping against its body as though drawn to it. "Lizzie waits. You will join her. You will join them all." Its voice drilled into my skull, vibrating my bones. I raised the mirror. The shard caught the green glow, flaring bright. The faceless thing hissed, its flesh bubbling, dripping like wax. Staggered back, but it didn't fall. It laughed, a horrible guttural sound. "You think glass will save you? You think light matters in the dark?" His body split. From its chest tore dozens of arms, long and thin, each tipped with claws. They shot forward, scraping, reaching. I ducked, diving between them, sprinting toward the door at the far end. The arms slammed into the walls, ripping flesh and bone. Blood sprayed, sizzling on the floor. I skidded, slammed my shoulder into the door, and forced it open. I collapsed into the next car, slamming the door shut behind me. My chest heaved, my wound burning, my body trembling with terror. 5:36 a.m. This car was different. It wasn't flesh. It wasn't bone. It was water. The floor was flooded ankle deep, rippling with each sway of the train. The walls glistened as though coated in condensation. A cold breeze whispered through, smelling of salt and decay. First, it was quiet, peaceful even. The water lapped softly against my legs as I stepped forward. Then I saw them, bodies, floating beneath the surface. Hundreds of them, suspended in the dark water. Their faces pale, mouths open in frozen screams. Their eyes rolled, following me as I moved. Fingers brushed against my ankles. I screamed, splashing forward. My legs tangled in hair, in limbs. The water surged, rising, waist deep, chest deep. I thrashed, panic clawing at me. Then, from the depths, something rose. A woman, dressed in white. Her hair spread like ink in the water. Her skin bloated, pale blue. Her face, Lizzie. No, I gasped, choking. Not you. Please, not you. She drifted closer, her eyes wide, glassy, filled with sorrow. Her lips parted, and a voice bubbled out, warped by water. You left me. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't. Her hands reached for me, cold, strong. They wrapped around my neck, pulling me under. Water filled my lungs, burning. I thrashed, kicked, clawed, but her grip was iron. Darkness closed in. The whispers rose. 1,000 voices, chanting, laughing. My vision blurred, my chest bursting. Then my hand brushed the mirror shard. Desperation surged. I raised it, light flashing underwater. Lizzie's face twisted, screaming silently. Her skin peeled, black ichor spilling into the water. She dissolved, fragments drifting away like ash. I burst to the surface, gasping, choking, coughing water and bile. The car drained suddenly, water rushing away into cracks in the floor. I collapsed, hacking, trembling, barely alive. 5:43 a.m. The train slowed. Another door slid open ahead. My body ached. My lungs burned. But I dragged myself forward. What waited beyond made my blood run cold. It was the control car. At least it looked like it. Panels lined the walls, blinking with dead lights. A cracked windshield revealed only black void outside. And in the center, a chair. Someone sat there. I approached slowly, dread sinking into my bones. The figure was slumped, unmoving. A uniform clung to its body, tattered, soaked with black stains. A security badge gleamed faintly on its chest. Nathaniel Crow, I whispered, his head lifted, slowly, with the creak of old bone. His face was half gone, flesh rotted away, leaving one eye staring milky and blind. His mouth moved, words grinding like stone. You should not be here. I trembled. I have to end this. Tell me, what is the loophole? He stared. Then he laughed. A dry, hollow laugh. There is no loophole. There never was. Only hunger. Only the contract. You are the 13th. No, I whispered. You're lying. His hand lifted, skeletal fingers pointing at me. I kept them at bay for decades, but every bargain demands a price. And now, it is yours. The train roared. The panels lit up with blood-red symbols. The windshield cracked further, black mist pouring in. The chair melted beneath him, flesh rising from the floor, wrapping around his body. He fused into it, becoming part of the train. His one eye locked onto me, burning with eternal torment. "Join us, Ezra," he croaked. "The 13th train always arrives." The walls collapsed inward. Claws reached for me. The train screamed, and I knew dawn was still far away. 5:45 a.m. The control room melted away, flesh swallowing the walls, swallowing Nathaniel Crow until there was no sign he'd ever been there. Only a pulsing, breathing chamber remained. The air throbbed in rhythm with the train itself. I was inside something alive. I pressed against the wall, the shard of mirror trembling in my hand. My reflection in it no longer looked like me. My eyes were pits of black, my skin stretched and gray. The shadow behind me moved when I didn't. The whispers filled the chamber. Thousands of voices, children crying, mothers pleading, men screaming in agony. They layered over one another until it became a single command. Enter. The wall in front of me split open. Flesh tore with a wet rip, unveiling a tunnel that stretched into endless black. The air that poured out was freezing and reeked of sulfur. I didn't want to go in. Every nerve in my body screamed to turn back. But I couldn't. There was no turning back. I stepped into the tunnel. The darkness closed over me like a shroud. My footsteps echoed, wet and soft against the pulsating floor. The walls convulsed with every beat, veins bulging, pumping black ichor. The air was suffocating, heavy. Every breath felt like drowning. Time lost meaning. Minutes, hours, maybe days, I couldn't tell. The whispers followed me, louder with every step. Sometimes I heard Lizzie's laugh. Sometimes my parents' voices. Sometimes my own. Finally, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern. And there it was, the heart. It filled the cavern, enormous, throbbing, suspended by ropes of veins thicker than tree trunks. Each beat rattled the ground, spraying black ichor that rained down like a storm. Faces pressed against its surface from the inside, screaming, clawing, before sinking back into the flesh. I dropped to my knees while burning my throat. The mirror shard slipped from my fingers, clattering on the floor. The whispers became one. Join! The heart convulsed. A mouth tore open across its surface, jagged and lined with rows of teeth. From it poured figures, human-shaped, but wrong. Their limbs too long, their heads lolling at unnatural angles. Their eyes empty, their mouths stitched shut with sinew. They rushed toward me. I grabbed the shard, stumbling to my feet. Light burst across the cavern, searing their flesh. They shrieked, staggering back, ichor spraying. I swung wildly, carving through the dark, forcing them back. But more came, dozens, hundreds. The ground shook beneath their stampede. I ran, skidding across the slick floor, slipping in blood. They chased, their footsteps pounding like war drums. The cavern narrowed into another tunnel. I dove inside, scrambling, heart pounding in my throat. Behind me, the creatures slammed into the walls, their claws scraping, their mouths tearing open, finally free from their sinew, screaming. 5:53 a.m. The tunnel spat me into another chamber. This one was different. Still fleshy, still alive, but lined with mirrors. Dozens, hundreds. Mirrors fused into the walls, cracked and warped. Each one reflected me, but not me. In one, my face was skeletal, hollow-eyed. In another, my flesh bubbled, crawling with maggots. In another, I had no mouth, only a gaping hole where screams echoed. In another, my shadow moved first, staring back at me with hunger. I staggered, clutching my head. No, this isn't real. Every reflection spoke in unison. It is more real than you. The glass rippled. Hands burst through. My own hands. Rotten, skeletal, burned, twisted. They grabbed me, clawing, pulling. I screamed, slashing with the shard. Glass shattered, spraying shards. The hands dissolved into smoke. But one mirror didn't break. It showed Lizzie, whole, smiling. The way she looked before the cancer, before the hospital, before everything. She reached out. Ezra, you can end it. Just step through. Tears blinded me. I raised the shard, but my hand shook. I wanted to believe. I wanted to step through, to be with her. But then her smile widened. Too wide, teeth stretching, black and sharp. Her eyes turned hollow, red burning in their depths. I screamed and smashed the mirror. It shattered into dust. Lizzie's voice warped into a howl of rage, echoing down the chamber. The walls convulsed, the mirrors collapsing into the flesh. The tunnel opened again, dragging me forward. 5:59 a.m., the final chamber. I stumbled in, my body broken, my mind fractured, and I saw it. The 13th car. Not a car, a mouth. The chamber stretched wide, lined with jagged teeth taller than houses. The floor was a tongue, slick and slimy, pulsing beneath me. The ceiling dripped with ichor, stalactites of bone dangling like fangs. And in the center, a throne. On it sat a figure. Me, but not me. The skin was gray, stretched tight across bone. Its eyes glowed red, hollow and endless. Its grin split its face ear to ear, rows of jagged teeth gnashing. It wore my uniform, soaked black with ichor. It leaned forward, resting its chin on its hands. At last, it said. My voice, twisted. The 13th arrives. I staggered back, clutching the shard. You're not me. It laughed. The cavern shook. I am you, the part you buried. The one who signed the contract. The coward who sacrificed Lizzie. The liar who doomed them all. No, I whispered. Yes, it hissed. You gave me life the moment you bled for survival. Every rule you broke, every night you stayed, every scream you ignored. You fed me, and now I am whole. It stood, taller, stronger. The shadow swallowed the chamber. The ground split. The tongue rose, curling around me, dragging me closer. Teeth slammed shut in the distance, the sound of the world ending. I raised the shard, light blazing. My double hissed, its skin blistering. But it didn't fall. It only laughed. Glass cannot kill truth. It lunged, claws ripping from its arms, teeth gnashing. I slashed, cutting deep into its chest. Black ichor sprayed, sizzling. It roared, staggering. For a moment I thought I could win. Then it smiled, grabbed my wrist, forced the shard into my own chest. Pain exploded, blinding white. I screamed, blood flooding my mouth. My double leaned close, whispering, now you understand. The 13th is not chosen. The 13th is born. The shard pierced deeper. My vision blurred. The whispers screamed in triumph. 6 a.m. Dawn. The chamber convulsed. The teeth retracted. The tongue writhed. The whispers silenced. For one heartbeat, the world was still. Then everything collapsed. Flesh tore. Bone shattered. The train screamed as though dying. My double dissolved into smoke, its laughter echoing into eternity. I fell. Through darkness. Through void. Through screams. When I opened my eyes, I was back. Back in the guardroom. The cameras flickered. The monitors hummed. Coffee cups sat cold on the table. The clock ticked. 6:01 a.m. I was alive, but the shard was gone. I looked at my reflection in the black screen. My eyes, black, endless. And from the speakers, a voice. My voice. See you tonight, Ezra. 6:02 a.m. The silence in the guardroom was unbearable. The hum of the monitors, the tick of the clock. Every sound clawed at my skull. I stood frozen, staring at my reflection in the black screen. My eyes, once brown, were pits of black. My shadow writhed, twitching on the floor, not in sync with me anymore. The radio crackled. Static. Then a voice. Ezra. My own voice, but warped, drawn out, soaked in malice. Tonight, I ripped the radio from the table and hurled it against the wall. It shattered, sparks sprang. But the voice didn't stop. It oozed from the walls, from the floor, from inside my own head. You are already one of us. I stumbled back, clutching my chest where the shard had pierced me. There was no wound, but the skin burned, black veins spreading outward. Every beat of my heart pumped more of it through me. I staggered to the door. The station was quiet. Too quiet. No commuters, no workers, only silence. The fluorescent lights flickered, buzzing weakly. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, like the building was empty stone. At the end of the hall, the platform awaited. 6:10 a.m. The platform looked normal at first. Empty, cold, the usual hum of electricity. But as I stepped closer, my stomach churned. Something was wrong. The tracks, they were no longer steel. They pulsed. Veins throbbed along their length, glowing faintly green. The smell of rot rolled up from the tunnel. And in the shadows, I saw them. Figures, commuters, office workers, families, children, all standing silently on the platform. Their skin was pale, their eyes empty. They swayed gently, like puppets on strings. Boarding, they whispered together. The clock overhead ticked. 6:13. The second hand trembled, stuck, refusing to move. The sound of a whistle pierced the air. My blood turned to ice. Headlights bloomed in the tunnel. Red, burning. The 13th train was coming. I turned to run. The doors behind me slammed shut, locking. The walls shifted, flesh bulging through cracks. There was no escape. The train slid into the station, slow, deliberate, like a predator savoring its prey. Its body was black, slick, glistening. Windows reflected nothing. Doors hissed, opening in unison. A cold wind blasted across the platform, carrying whispers. Ezra. The crowd moved. Silently, they shuffled toward the open doors. Not rushing, not panicked, obedient. Each step in unison like a ritual. I backed away, shaking my head. No, I won't. I can't. A hand grabbed mine. Cold, fragile. I turned. Lizzie, or what wore her face. Her smile was soft, her eyes hollow. It's time, she whispered. I ripped free, stumbling. My chest burned. My veins writhed like worms under my skin. I fell to my knees, gasping, my breath steaming in the cold air. From the train, shapes emerged. Not passengers, not human. They were tall, twisted, draped in black veils that dragged along the floor. Their faces were hidden, but from beneath the cloth, whispers seeped. Each carried a lantern glowing red. They spread across the platform, surrounding me. One lifted its veil slightly. Beneath it was not a face, but a void. An endless mouth of teeth whispering my name. Ezra. Final offering. 6:20 a.m. The crowd had vanished. Gone, swallowed into the train. The veiled figures closed in, their lanterns burning brighter, staining the platform crimson. My heart hammered. The mark on my chest pulsed, black veins spreading across my neck, my arms. I raised the mirror shard, my last weapon. Its surface was cracked, dull, almost powerless. The reflection was no longer mine. It was the double, the thing from the throne. It grinned back at me, blood dripping from its teeth. You cannot fight yourself, it whispered. The lantern light dimmed. The platform shook. Screams erupted from the tunnel, thousands of them, rushing like a tidal wave. The train's doors snapped shut. The headlights flared, and the 13th car opened. It wasn't a door. It was an abyss. A black maw lined with bone, endless, swallowing the light. Wind roared from within, dragging at my clothes, my skin, my soul. The veiled ones reached, their hands like claws of shadow, seizing my arms, dragging me forward. I fought, screaming, the shard cutting into their cloth, but smoke poured out instead of blood. Their grip was iron, unshakable. Lizzie's voice rose above the storm. "Ezra, come home," I thrashed, tears blinding me. "I didn't mean to. I didn't want this." The abyss answered. "You chose it." The floor crumbled beneath me, the shard shattered in my hand. My reflection laughed as it dissolved into smoke. The veiled ones lifted me, carried me toward the 13th car. The maw opened wider, wider, hunger radiating from its depths. I screamed as the world was devoured. 6:33 a.m. Darkness. I woke to silence. Cold. The ground beneath me was stone. The air stank of mold and ash. I staggered up, trembling. I wasn't in the station anymore. I was outside. A city stretched before me, but not my city. A ruin. Towers of bone. Streets paved with flesh. The sky was blood red, choked with ash. Shapes crawled across the buildings, faceless, endless. And far in the distance, railways stretched into the horizon. Tracks made of veins. And trains. Dozens. Hundreds. Black serpents sliding endlessly across the landscape, feeding the city. The whispers were everywhere. In the air. In the stone. In me. "You are home." I fell to my knees, clutching my head. My veins burned, bursting. My skin cracked. Black ichor leaked from my mouth, my eyes. My shadow writhed, growing, rising from the ground. It stood over me, taller, grinning with my own face. The double, triumphant. "You see now," it said. My voice. There was never escape. Only the cycle. Only the offering. "You are the 13th, Ezra. And the 13th never leaves." I tried to scream, but no sound came. My throat tore open, ichor spilling. My body convulsed, splitting. Bones broke, flesh peeled, organs melted. My soul tore apart, shredded, consumed. And then, silence. Epilogue. The central station opened at 7 a.m. Commuters arrived, coffee in hand, newspapers under their arms. They yawned, stretched, checked their phones. No one saw the stains. No one noticed the cracks. No one questioned why the clock skipped 3:33. The guards rotated shifts. The cameras flickered. One chair sat empty. On the table, a new black notebook waited. Its cover cracked, stained, smelling faintly of iron. On the first page, written in trembling hand, "Rules for surviving the night shift. Asterisk asterisk. 1. Always count the cars. If there are more than 10, step back. 2. Never look into the window of the 7th car. 3. If you hear your name, do not answer, especially if it's someone you lost. 10. If you break a rule, run toward the brightest light. Do not look back." And beneath it, scrawled in fresh ink, one final line. "If you see the 13th car, do not board." No matter what, the ink was still wet, and in the reflection of the black screen, the chair wasn't empty. Someone sat there, watching, waiting, smiling with black eyes.